Hello everybody, I am not dead yet, and Turkesterone is not a scam, and I have proof. So a lot has happened, and I mean a lot has happened since I posted my previous video on the whole bunk Turkesterone debacle with Nootropics Depot, Greg Doucette, and DerekMorePlatesMoreDates.com. So I have kind of a list of things that I want to go through because, again, there's a lot and I want to kind of summarize it all in this follow-up video. So I have a little bit of a list to structure my video and make sure I talk about everything I want to talk about. So the first thing I want to actually talk about is that DerekMorePlatesMoreDates.com actually replied and responded to the post that Nootropics Depot did in his subreddit, showing off third-party test results that he received by Advanced Botanical Consulting and Testing Incorporated that show that his stuff actually passed and was approved to be sold. So if we look here, and again, whoever's editing this, I will have them throw up the images of the confirmed tests. I don't know if it's going to be Skybox Designs this time. I've really been overworking the guy this week with all this stuff I've been trying to push out recently, but if it's going to be him, then he'll do it, and if not, I'll say whoever edited this video will do it. But you can see here, a sample name, Ajuga Turkestia extract at 10%, and if you look at the analysis for Turkesterone, in parentheses, open parentheses, UV-VIS, close parentheses, we see that the result was 10.05%, so that passes, that checks out. And then we have another one here, again from Advanced Botanical Consulting and Testing, testing for ashwagandha, with the spec being 5 milligrams per capsule, and it ends up at 4.46 milligrams per capsule. So that all checks out. Everything's great there. But I actually want to read the response that Derek put in on the subreddit, just because it's one of the few things that we have of Derek actually speaking out about this. So he posts comparison of UV-VIS and HPLC methods for the determination of repaglinide in tablets, and then he posts the picture for the ashwagandha thing. And yes, our HPBCD meets potency claims too. Not trying to engage in debate either, by the way, just responding to the thread. I refer back to my initial comment in this thread as my overarching answer to this subject. We do our due diligence and put out as high of quality products as we can, and you can see that I clearly care in my replies anytime a subject like this comes up. I'm not on Reddit as much these days as I find the sub to be increasingly toxic and provide less content than it used to. Unfortunately, however, I will say this before I sign off. If I only cared about money or wanted to cut corners or any of that, anybody who's been following me knows that from day one we were essentially the only company selling Turk for several months. In that time frame, we would sell out within minutes of putting it on the site. If I only cared about money, cutting corners, etc., I could have easily capped raw Ajuga and sold it off, and sold the shit out of it in literally 100 times the quantity. Anybody who followed us since we launched our complex Turk knows that I went multiple spans of time, sometimes months, with it out of stock because the supramolecular inclusion complex processing is so time intensive that it resulted in probably 1/100th the capacity to put out inventory to keep up with demand. We also didn't have the machine domestic to complex it. We initially had to receive our raws, send them to China, get complexation done, and get it sent back. It was a very time-intensive process and would result in us being out of stock the majority of the year, and when we had limited inventory in stock, finally it would sell out in minutes. By the time we had the infrastructure domestic to complex it in the USA, open parentheses, it was $1 million machine, if I recall correctly, close parentheses, there were about 100 plus companies with their own Turk copycat product out. We could have easily just capped raw Ajuga in the US and sold millions of dollars of product, especially if the stuff is supposedly placebo. Then why would it matter? We'd just sell raw Ajuga and crank out 100 times the inventory domestically, as there would be no difference in efficacy, right? And if I wanted to beat third-party tests too, I could have just blended raw PBC, like other companies currently, in a vat with our Ajuga and capped it, like companies do with citrulline malate that isn't actually chemically bonded. We literally would have a company double the size right now if I did that, but I didn't. I let our company sit with it out of stock for months at a time every time we'd sell out, while we did our due diligence with the raw materials, got the complexation process done the way I maximized I felt maximize the likelihood of it being bioavailable, etc. So any time someone says Turk is placebo or implies we cut corners, please remember this. I give a shit about what we put out and passed up a fuck ton of money to do this what I perceive to be the right way, while companies were all cranking out copycat products. And honestly, I think that's a really good reply. I think he says it better than I possibly ever could, and I think that points out a lot of holes with the whole idea that Greg or Derek are just selling raw product for the sake of money, right? And speaking of poking holes in kind of arguments that people are making, there were a bunch of things that were pointed out to me by various people that I just simply missed as soon as, like when I was filming my video. As soon as I dropped my video, a bunch of people pointed out a bunch of things that I just didn't see. One of them, and I believe it was by FL in my comment section, stating that technically speaking, Greg didn't lie about anything. His label never said Turkesterone, it said Turk Builder. So it was actually way less damning for him than it would have been for Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com. Which again, like, is interesting because a lot of people, when this hopped on, like when this news came to light, attacked mainly Greg and called Greg the snake oil salesman. It's just something that's really interesting to me. But another thing that was interesting that I just kind of completely overlooked in my initial video that a myriad of people have pointed out, including Josh the Iron Musket in his reaction video to my initial video, was the fact that Nootropics Depot is a direct competitor with Greg and Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com, because he sells Turkesterone-esque products. Well, he sells Ecdysterone, but in the original post, lab testing results of Turkesterone, beta-ecdysterone, and Gorilla Mind, whatever, in the original post, and I quote, "Hey, look at that. We are in the mass percent range on this one. 1.24%, baby. Lol, yes, that is right. Our beta Ecdysterone has more Turkesterone than any other sample we have tested yet. However, we are not calling it Turkesterone." So again, like, this could actually like be just a ploy, a marketing ploy for him to shit on another company and get more sales of his Ecdysterone product, because it's like, oh well, our Ecdysterone has more Turkesterone than their Turkesterone, right? And there's a bunch of other issues that pop up when looking at this critically, namely the fact that we don't know exactly what batch of Turkesterone was tested from both Greg or Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com, as well as we don't know if it's been tampered with. He did not, and again, this is something that I overlook simply because I don't really know how supplement companies work, and this was pointed out in a video that I watched, and because I watched two. There was one that talks about the chain of command, as well as one that kind of talks a little bit more about how the supplement industry works, and I will, one of them is by Bodybuilding and BS. I'll link them both in my description. Please watch them. They explain it way better than I possibly could. But it's like, he doesn't follow a direct chain of command, so we have no idea if where he got this Turkesterone, if he actually bought it from Greg or Derek, or if he just took it from hey, my buddy's taking Greg and Derek's Turkesterone, let me just grab one of the pills from each of his thing. Whether it went straight from, you know, Derek's supplier directly to his lab, or Greg's supplier directly to his lab, whether he got Greg and Derek's Turkesterone, opened them up, and tampered with them, we have no idea. And that is an issue when you're going to put out really accusatory statements like this that damage the reputation of a company, because that's essentially what it is. And so when you get somebody who just posts the results and say, oh, hey, look at this, I tested, you know, all this Turkesterone, and suddenly, and all of it was bad, we have no idea if the Turkesterone tested was actually the Turkesterone tested. And even if it was from Greg or Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com, we don't know if it was tampered with or not. And if you're going to do something like this, that is how you should, that is how the process should be done for it to be taken seriously. And Bodybuilding and BS actually also brought up a really good point where he said that it's not really on the face, the supplier, the dealer, to ensure that all this stuff is good. They buy it from the manufacturer that guarantees the testing and all that, and then they just sell it. The analogy that Bodybuilding and BS gave was, let's say you buy a car, you go to start it up and there's something wrong with your engine. Is that the fault of the dealership? No, it's the fault of, let's say, a Ford, right? You buy a Ford truck and your Ford doesn't start because, fixed or repaired daily. And so you phone for, you blame the dealer? No, you blame Ford, and so Ford will fix whatever, and that's that. But with the supplement company, it's a little bit different because obviously you have faces of people selling it. And so for that reason, it's not really on Greg and Derek to test every batch. That's why they pay the manufacturer. That's why they're trusting the manufacturer. So it's like, if something were bunk, it would be more a problem with the manufacturer than it would be with Greg or Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com. But leading into the whole chain of command and being a competitor thing, a lot of people have pointed out that this is liable. And there may actually be a lawsuit pending to Nootropics Depot from these companies. All they would have to do is prove beyond reasonable doubt that this costs them money, which should be fairly reasonable and easy to do, considering everything that's kind of gone on. And I truly believe that because of this, they will have lost money. Because the damage that you can do to a reputation of a supplement company with an accusation like this cannot be understated. It's like when someone, ironically, accuses you of being a pervert or a harasser or something. I just put out a video before this one talking about the girl that did that on that whole TikTok thing, and it also got buried because apparently it wasn't suitable for ads, or it had limited liability, and that really killed the video. So if you haven't seen it, please go watch it. I'll have it linked up here. But it's that the damage that an accusation like this can do to a supplement company, even if it's proven false, is a lot. It's a lot. So there very well may be, and people have, like, again, the first video I watched on this suggested to Greg and Derek to lawyer up and take legal action, and that may be why Greg and Derek are so quiet on the matter, because when you take legal action, that's one of the first things they tell you to do, is just shut up and don't incriminate yourself, or don't say anything that can be used against you in a court of law. Only say what's necessary. And so that actually may be why they haven't really spoken about this, is because they're planning to sue. And honestly speaking, they should. Like, Derek and Greg are the real victims here. Because again, they put out, Nootropics Depot put out this, Reddit post claiming a whole bunch of different stuff without proper due diligence, and again, people fell for it, myself included, and I will admit that. Like, I even admit in my video, I'm not the person to pick holes in this, and I know more than the average person. I know more about this whole process, about the supplement company, and the behind the scenes of everything than the average person, and even I said I am not the one to pick this apart. So what do you think the layman who knows nothing about any of this stuff is going to think? It's very easy to convince people like that, so long as you think, like, you make it seem like you know what you're doing, especially when you have people as polarizing as Greg, because as I've stated multiple times in the first video, and it was reiterated by Josh the Iron Musket, a lot of people are looking to take down Greg. A lot of people already think Greg is this lying snake oil salesman that just wants to suck you dry of your money, so it's like they will jump at any chance to go, hey, look at this, Greg is wrong. And I've seen people just cite that Reddit post without even the possibility of being like, hey, it could be a manufacturing issue, this guy could be lying, and just state that as like, oh, look at the scam artist Greg, back at it again. And it's like, with people doing that, it gives seemingly legitimacy to the accusations and seriously damages the reputation. I'm sure this process has cost Greg a lot of money, and even if it hasn't yet, it probably will, because these lawsuits, again, as someone who knows a little bit more than the average person and just has basic common sense, these types of defamation and slander or liable lawsuits, because slander is spoken, in print it's liable, but these types of lawsuits are usually long and drawn out and cost a lot of money. Derek and Greg are the real victims here, and to a certain extent, I even feel a little bit guilty about playing into it. I mean, I fed the flames of everything. And so, which is why, again, I knew that I was going to make a follow-up video no matter what, because I wanted to at least clear the air and hopefully push for truth. And that's what I'm doing here. A lot of people have been asking, like, well, what happened to Nick, Exercise for Cheat Meals' video on the subject, because apparently he posted it and then it was gone, deleted within the hour. I never actually got to watch the video myself, so I don't know what he said in that actual video, but if I just had to take a random guess, I would probably assume that it may be linked to the potential legal action being taken against Nootropics Depot. I don't know, just my best guess. Don't take anything I say for concrete on why Nick took down the video. I haven't asked him about it. It's just probably what makes the most sense to me. Next, well, if that's all well and good, then why did it fail the test in the first place? Well, not only because a lot of people are citing, well, he used a different test, which is true, but there are all, to my understanding, because again, I've done my own research, I've looked and read a lot on this topic, and I've read a lot more than I probably should have, or could have, given, the amount of time I have to do stuff like this. I was supposed to have a fight tomorrow, and I've been prepping for that fight this entire week while making videos. Again, shout out Skybox Designs. I would not be putting out videos if it weren't for him. By the way, my fight was canceled for anyone who cares about that. But anyway, and then I've also had people, like I said, DM me and talk to me. No, not Greg and Derek, but like other people who know more about like the supplement stuff than I do, break down like different things. And anyway, to my knowledge, how I understand it is that there are different types of turkesterone, and the best way that I can kind of put it is, think of it this way. Like, say you're selling BCAAs, right? And someone tests for one type of BCAA, but not for the others. And so they say, oh, your product is shit. It doesn't help you build muscle at all. You only have 1% of BCAAs in there. Well, did you test for all the other types of BCAAs? No. I just tested for this one. Well, then that's your problem. Maybe, like, from my understanding was that he only tested for certain types or a specific type of turkesterone and left aside others, which skewed the results. And before people say, oh, well, not dead yet, BCAAs aren't a good product and they don't help you build muscle. Listen, we'll just say that, like, for this imaginary scenario that you've been living on an island for the past like month, and you've been eating nothing but coconuts and BCAAs, and you've been in a massive calorie deficit. So those BCAAs will help you hold on to that little bit of your muscle that you have, and help you build a little bit of muscle. We'll just say that, because again, like, the studies do show that it doesn't work in extreme calorie deficits, but just eat your protein. I get the point. Okay, I get the point. Just let me use this as an example, please. Okay, we good? We understand that? Great. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure, they are different BCAAs, just like there are different types of turkesterone, but they are all trying to accomplish the same thing, that being, I guess in the case of turkesterone, helping you recover, helping the muscle bellies be more full, and in the case of BCAAs, giving your muscles fuel to help build muscle. Like, don't get on me about the efficacy of BCAAs, that's not the point here. But that's how I kind of understand it, and that he may, I'm going to say may, just in case I accidentally end up implicating myself in this legal thing, he may have only tested for one or certain types of turkesterone and not all the different types of turkesterone, which may, M-A-Y, have skewed the results. And I think that is a really good explanation of things. And again, it's a lot more complicated than that. Trust me. There are people a lot smarter than me, and I mean like exponentially smarter than me in this topic, that still say it's complicated for them. So I'm dumbing it down to the nth degree, but that is kind of how I describe it. And just to end this off, the one thing that I think that I didn't focus on enough in my previous video is the fact that, like, owning a supplement company is not the money-making scheme, the big cash grab that everyone seems to make it out to be. Like, you sink a lot of money into starting a supplement company, and there's a lot of work involved. And, like, even just somebody who has absorbed a little bit of knowledge of how supplement companies work in passing, right? Like, it's not just like, it's not like drop shipping from Wish. Okay, like, it seems like a lot of people think that, like, owning a supplement company is just drop shipping from Wish. I get my shitty, bunk product, my crappy $10 earbuds that I'm gonna pass off for, like, actual, like, hundreds of dollar earbuds, and I'm just gonna drop ship it out. While the basic principle is the same, you buy your supplement companies from your supplements from the manufacturer, get it all done, and it is a lot more complicated than that. That is why it is called a chain of command. There is a lot that goes into this that people just do not understand, let alone, like, dealing with, like, things like the FDA and standards and regulations and all of that. It is a lot. So when people talk about, like, oh, these influencers just want to steal your money, I honestly don't think owning a supplement company is the way to do it. I just don't. Like, it just seems to me like it's way, way, way more hassle than it's worth to try and just get a bunch of bunk shit and sell it out to people. It just seems more headache than it's worth. And if you are really trying to scam people, I think there's probably better and easier ways to do it. That's just my opinion, though. And ultimately, talking about the behind-the-scenes thing, and this was something that Bodybuilding and BS brought to light, is the fact that there are only, like, 2 real massive Turk manufacturers in the United States. And this was something that Nootropics Depot knew to an extent, at least, because he mentions in his post that it was told to him that Derek and Greg have the same manufacturer of Turk, which is really weird, because why did Derek's Turk come out to be like 111% less than the label claim, and Greg's Turk was like 600 and something less than the label claim, when they have the same manufacturer? Like, that doesn't make sense. And what Bodybuilding and BS brought to light, that really was interesting to me, that nobody seemed to talk about, was the fact that Chris Bumstead also sells Turk, and his manufacturer is the same as Derek and Greg's. So why wasn't, Chris Bumstead implicated in all of this? And again, like, Chris Bumstead, how much you want to bet that Chris Bumstead's Turk sales went up because of this? Because it's like, oh crap, well, Derek's is bunk apparently, Greg's is bunk apparently, who else did he mention? Swole AF and Natural Wood or whatever, they're bunk, but he didn't mention Chris Bumstead, so let's go buy from Chris Bumstead, as well as from Nootropics Depot, because they're a competitor. If to those of you out there, if you still believe that the product, the Turk that's been sold, was bunk, then you also believe that Chris Bumstead's Turk is bunk, which, I mean, do with that information what you will. But I'm pretty sure that is all I have to say for this video. Make sure to leave your thoughts about the whole situation in the comments below. I will definitely be reading them. And if you want to help support Greg as well as me and undo some of the damage of these accusations, you can get HTLT supplements Turkesterone, pre-workouts, protein powders, and a bunch of other stuff, too much to name, in my description. Please do. It helps support me and it helps support Greg. And if you want to help support Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com. You can go to moreplatesmoredates.com, I think. Is it that? I don't know. I'm not sponsored by or affiliated even by Gorilla Mind. So yeah, go check out Derek's stuff. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Support both of them because, again, the way I see things is that they are the real victims here and they are the ones who deserve support. Again, I wish Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com, and GregDoucette.com for coaching, Greg Doucette IFBB Pro, all the best in this massive headache. I cannot imagine the amount of stress both of them are currently under, and I cannot imagine the ramifications of this going forward for everyone involved. Not just Greg, not just Derek, moreplatesmoredates.com, but like Nootropics Depot and everyone else. And I wonder genuinely what's going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. And I wonder if this will lead to a massive lawsuit. But I guess that's, yet to be seen. And yeah, if you liked this video and you want to keep up with me, subscribe, like the video, please, and help share this video around so that more people can kind of know the truth, and that more people can sort of, at the very least, be fully informed when making their opinions. I would greatly appreciate that, but that is really all I have to say for this video, I think. So until next time, I would like to thank whoever I decide to get to edit this video. Again, I'm not entirely sure who it's going to be yet. Whoever you are, you can, put up all of your, plug everything. All links will be in the description for whoever I decide to get to edit this. And I would also like to thank all of my Patreon supporters. Your support means the world. I would not be able to do this without you. But until the next one, remember, only the strong subscribe. I am not dead yet. And if you are not either, there is always a tomorrow waiting for you.